Hello, beautiful people, wonderful designers of your life. How are you doing this morning or this evening or this afternoon? As promised, I have decided to do a live session, and this is specifically about a topic that many of you have been asking me about, especially after I posted a video earlier in the week. So here it is. This is a session dedicated to the law of attraction. And in the session, what I'm going to be doing is covering what is the law of attraction, and how does it work, why is it important for you, and how will it work and be implemented in your life. So I've got a series of points that explain all of these things, and then I've got 6 specific steps that I will encourage, and in fact I will hold you accountable if you allow me to implement in your life. And I promise you that if you do these 6 things, and I can promise you, because I'm not selling you anything right now, this is basically information that you can use, you can implement in your life, and you can see change. And that's the reason I can promise you this. So if you do these 6 things, and I'm saying this because I do it, then you will see, my friends, you will see some... Oh, we're back on. You will see some incredible things take place in your life, some magical things that you never expected, or maybe that you did expect, but you never expected once a long time ago. Okay, so I've got my notes here, so forgive me if I keep looking to this side, but I don't want to miss any point. But first of all, what is this? So some of you may be very familiar with the whole concept of the law of attraction and all of these various things. Hi, Sharon. Some of you may be very familiar, but for those of you who aren't, let me break it down and let me make it really simple. So the law of attraction is basically the ability to attract into our lives what we focus on. Get that? It's as simple as that. So whatever you focus on, the belief is that whatever you focus on, you will bring that into your life. If you focus on doom, gloom, lack, sadness, that's what you will bring. And if you focus on incredible opportunity and abundance and happiness and joy, that's what you'll bring into your life, and that's what you will experience. So and this goes all the way back to some of Gautam Buddha's teachings, where one of his quotes is, "What you have become is what you have thought." Yeah. So all the way back to ancient Buddhism, which is hundreds of years BC, we've got these teachings, and all of religion, in fact, every religion has some element of this teaching in it, which is that whatever you focus on, whatever you put your mind towards, and whatever you dedicate yourself towards, that's what you're gonna get into your life. What you shall sow, what you shall sow is what you shall reap. Now, a lot of people put that into physical, physical, like a physical manifestation. So whatever they put their physical efforts into, that's what they shall get as a result. So if you work hard, you will get the results. So you will get paid, or you will get food. That is true, and what I'm here to tell you is that those principles apply in the thought realm as well. So let me explain how that works. Okay. First of all, let's do it, and let's work it out this way. Work out what is not happening, or what is not working in your life. Because let's face it, that's why we're here, right? if everything was hunky-dory and you were having this most amazing life, then I don't really think you'd be sitting here on a Sunday morning or an evening listening to some guy tell you about how to attract things into your life. So there's some element of your life where you're wanting more. You may be struggling, you may be okay, but maybe you may be wanting more value or benefit in your life. Hi, Nikki. So and as I've discussed with you right at the start of this group, there are these 6 very important elements that we in the modern world, or 6 sectors of our life that we have, which is physical health, mental health, personal development, our relationships, finance, and career. So the question you've got to ask yourself right now, and before we begin, I want you guys to get a pen and paper out so that you can take some notes. You can write down some of the thoughts that you're having as I'm going through these exercises with you. Cool? So I'll give you a second. If you haven't got it already, grab a pen and paper. If you have, leave me a thumbs up saying that you've got something to write down your thoughts and your notes. And that'll be my sign. But I'll give you a second. And as you can see, I've got some nice ambience music playing here. Let me know. Also, leave me a thumbs up, letting me know that you can hear me clearly, you can see me clearly. I think you can, but just confirm. So whoever's watching, guys, leave me a thumbs up. Thanks, Rahila. So cool, excellent. All right. So first thing is understand what are the areas in your life that aren't working for you right now. Okay, so and write that down. If you can share it with us, Rahila, Nikki, Sharon, that'll be great as well. Now, to give you my understanding through my experience, so an area of my life that wasn't working for me is financial. Yeah, so to improve or to break that down, I've always been financially stable. Awesome. Thanks, Andrea. So I've always been financially stable, but I've always felt that I want to be financially free. And what that means is I want to be in a position in life where I've got consistent income flowing in and I am not locked into a financial contract. So I'm not in a position where I can't go away because a family member's ill, because I've got to work, because then that's how I earn money and that's how I support myself. Or I can't go on a holiday because I've got too much happening in my life for which I need to be supporting myself. So I need to be generating income. So that used to be the challenge. Now, if I reflect on my life, what I can see and what I know for a fact is that I grew up in an environment that was financially challenging. Yeah. So I had parents who had very contrasting opinions and behavior when it came to money and finance. And I was influenced by an environment, especially by my mother, who constantly told me that money doesn't grow on trees, and everyone's not lucky to be rich, and you have to work really hard if you have to have a good life for yourself. Those are just some of the things that were told to me when I was really, really young. So think about this. As a child, as when we're born, as kids, we have very malleable brains. Yeah. So these are brains that think that anything is possible, because at that age anything is, right? That's the reason why kids do crazy things like jump off of, dangerous spots and, try and put their hand in the stove and things like that, because like their mind is very inquisitive and they want to explore, and they believe that anything is possible because there aren't any limits put on yet. So when you are born with that sort of a brain, and when it's very malleable, when it's very influence friendly, let's put it that way, what tends to happen is our brain picks up on anything that it is fed, it soaks it in, and then it then solidifies and solidifies and solidifies within our system to then become second nature. Yeah? So as many of you already know this, but our belief systems get based on that. So I've written this down, and I love this line that I've written for myself, which is, understand that there is a consistency, a pattern, a behavior or a habit that is associated with whatever that is working or not working in your life. Okay? So anything that's working or not working, there has to be a consistent pattern, behavior, habit, and a thought process that goes behind that. This habit is due to a thought process or a belief system you have about you in that department in your life. So wherever your thought goes, energy flows. Yeah? So for example, and I know this for a fact, if you think you are not deserving of money, or you think that I was born this way, and I was born in a poor family, so this is how things are for me. That is the energy, and that is the kind of thought process that you're going to take into any interaction to do with money. And that is the kind of result that you're going to get. It's as simple as going into an interview thinking you're not good enough, and exuding that sort of energy in that interview. What are the chances that they're going to give you the job? So you go into the interview thinking, I'm not good enough. I'm not going to get it anyway. I was in the lobby and I saw this other guy and he was way better than me, so he's probably going to get it. Or there was this other guy that came out before me and he seemed really happy and they seemed happy. I think he's getting the job. Okay. So you go in and you're like, or you're scared, or you're too anxious, and you're trying to prove yourself, which means that you're desperate. So any of these things then gives a vibe to the interviewer that either this person is too desperate or this person's not good enough, and they're not going to give you the job. And then when you don't get the job, you're like, oh yeah, I knew it. I did say that I was not going to get the job. You see, let me know, does this resonate with you? Does this make sense to you guys? So what I would say is that is exactly the kind of thought process, the sequence of events that takes place when in every aspect of our life. Okay, so this is the sequence of events. A pattern of things that aren't working. One, second, understand that pattern is based on a habit, a habit of you thinking, doing something or not doing something. That habit is based on a thought process, which is based on a belief system something that you believe about yourself in that area of your life. So when you break it down that way, that makes it so much more easier to understand. And now that we break it down that way, we can then say that, okay, so what we need to do is if we break down this belief system, then we can work on, okay, if I fix that belief system, then I fix the thoughts that go with the beliefs, then I fix the habits that go with the thoughts, and then I fix the way I go about my life and the things that I then attract into my life. Yeah? So based on that, here are some of the things. Here are 6 very specific things that you can do in terms of the law of affirmation. So far, I've given you the science behind why this works. Okay, what are the reasons why this actually scientifically or logically happens or takes place in your life. Now what I'm going to do is explain how law of attraction works. So I was introduced to this concept, I remember, I think I was back in banking and finance, the banking and finance world, maybe about 10 years ago. And I remember, seeing people reading the book, and I saw it and it seemed very woo-woo, right? It seemed very like out there. People who believe in the earth is flat and stuff like that, they're probably the ones who are reading this. But when I decided to throw myself into personal development and especially around life coaching and business coaching, I realized that a lot of the coaches, the people that were coaching me, were talking about these concepts as well, and they were sharing all of these videos. And one video that really stuck to mind is this video where Jim Carrey goes to, he was on the Oprah show. I don't know if you guys remember this. Please let me know if it's, leave a thumbs up or a hey, if you remember seeing this video. But let me share it with you for those of you who haven't. But I remember this because it really resonated with me. So Jim Carrey, who's one of my favorite actors of all time, comes in the show. And Oprah, she's talking to him about, he had a string of successful movies. This is back in the late 90s. And she's like, you weren't always this successful, were you? And he's like, yeah, I wasn't. In fact, I left Canada and I came to Hollywood to pursue this dream of being this comedian and an actor. And I was so poor that I was living out of my car. I was sleeping in my car. I was just living there. I used to eat there. I used to get dressed there, and go for all of these things. So he was at rock bottom, so poor. However, he didn't feel that way. So what he said, what he used to do is, he would drive up to Hollywood and all of these very, affluent places, and he would drive and look around, and he would say to himself, oh yeah, I see, yeah, this is where I'm going to be living. This is where I currently live. Okay, this is the amount of money that I'm going to have. And what he actually did was he wrote himself a check for he says, I think it was $10 million for services delivered by Jim Carrey. Yeah, to Jim Carrey. He wrote himself a check and he put it into his wallet, and he just let it sit there, and he'd look at it every now and then. But then I think 2 or 3 years later, he signs Ace Ventura and then Dumb and Dumber and The Mask and stuff like that. And I think he started getting paid $10 and then eventually $20 million every movie. That is freaking insane. So I remember watching this video and him saying that, what he did was, and he was very into personal development, and what he did was he put these thoughts and emotions out there, and then he would just go about and just focus on just doing what he had to do. That's it. Just do what you have to do, and leave everything else. And I was fascinated by this, and I started looking into it. However, I will be honest, and I'll put my hand up and admit that yes, thinking positively and doing all of that stuff, yes, absolutely, 100%. Implementing, creating routines into my life. Like, so if I want to be healthy, doing healthy things first thing in the morning, if I want to, have a peaceful mindset, practicing meditation every day, yes, absolutely. However, law of attraction and thinking and doing specific things to attract things into my life, especially things like financial abundance and wealth, never worked on it. Okay? I spoke about it a lot, and I've spoken about it to hundreds of clients and saying to them that this is something that you can do that will help you in your life. But me personally, I never implemented it until this year. And how did I do it? Okay. So the first thing I recognize is it is really critical to, this is point number one, know exactly what you want. Because this is think of it as a game. This is a game that is being played between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. Okay? So you remember how I told you that when the child's born and the child's mind's very, it's like a sponge, and whatever you feed it, that's what sticks, and that's what continues to become second nature, and it becomes a habit. Well, what I didn't tell you at that point, which I will tell you now, is that second nature behavior and the way we think about things as if, oh, this is how it is. And we stop even thinking about things. So we are unconsciously proficient at. That is now your subconscious, right? So for example, very simple example. How many of you drive cars? By show of hands, okay. Now, that's the presenter in me, by the way, coming out, by show of hands. So, how many of you have driven for so long that you've now been able to get into a car and drive and then reach a destination and you're like, geez, shit, how did I get here? Yeah? So you've subconsciously driven the car. You've done a lot of very complicated things like head checks and changing gears maybe, or accelerating and braking, and you've done all of this stuff very subconsciously. So this isn't mumbo jumbo. This is factual information that I'm sharing with you. So if you've been able to drive a car subconsciously because you've picked up and you've learned information that at one point in your life was very difficult or almost impossible for you, but you worked on it and you practiced, and now you're doing multiple things. You know, you're changing the radio station, and you're probably putting on your makeup, or you're looking at yourself in the mirror. Guys do it too, and you're driving. You know, so that is how the subconscious works, right? So this game is being played between your conscious mind, which is the stuff that you think, why am I not rich? Why is this not happening to me? I want to do it. I want to implement these things in my life, versus your subconscious mind, which is used to behaving a certain way. Yeah? Now, just like getting into a right-hand drive car that is automatic, and then being asked to switch into a left-hand car that's manual, that needs gears being changed constantly. And I do hope that everyone here has at least driven a car once to know the meaning of this analogy. But just like that, your subconscious needs quite a bit of effort and quite a bit of consistent practice to change its ways. And just like how when you switch from right hand to left hand drive, you're looking in the wrong direction and your hand goes out the wrong way, and that will happen and happen and happen and happen until you consciously focus. I have to put my hand down here, not here. I have to look here, not here. As that consistently happens and happens and happens, you then stop making mistakes on the road, and then you start becoming more and more comfortable, and after a certain point, it becomes second nature. It gets embedded into your subconscious. So in the same way, the habits that you've created from your past in terms of the way you see and think about yourself, those are things that need to habitually be reprogrammed, let's call it, until a point where it's second nature. So if you're like me and if you've had thoughts programmed into you that you're not deserving of money, or you've got to work hard for it, or there is a certain point after which you're not deserving of it, then that needs to be programmed. And as you program it, so shall you see the changes, as I have been experiencing this year. Okay? So the first thing you need to understand is the conscious mind needs to get really, you need to do everything that you can to defeat the superpower subconscious that you have. So the first thing you need to do is get very clear about what is it that you want. Get very specific, because the subconscious doesn't work when the direction or the goal that you're trying to achieve is vague. Okay? So it needs to be very specific. That's going to be the biggest tool in your armor. The second thing, now this one is a big one as well. Actually, they all are big, but it excites me when I share this with you, is believe that it will come true. Okay? I cannot emphasize this enough, because your subconscious at this point doesn't believe that it's going to come true. It's the reason for that is it hasn't happened yet. Yeah? So I'll give you another example. Working with a client, she believes that she attracts, or that she is unlucky in love. That's the term that she used. And I was like, what does that even mean? Oh, well, I just keep finding the wrong people. Well, and then I explained all of this stuff to her, and I was like, what is it that you're putting out that makes you believe that you deserve these people who aren't good for you? And as we dug deeper and deeper, she realized, oh my goodness, I don't love and believe and respect and trust myself. So she doesn't love herself. She doesn't respect. She doesn't think that she deserves any respect. No wonder she's attracting people who don't love her and don't respect her and who treat her like shit. Right? So you need to believe. So in her case, she had to first of all, recognize what is it that she wants. And what she wanted, we reframed it and we positioned it as she wants to now start loving herself unconditionally. And then what she then believed is that she is so filled with love and respect for herself that is who she's attracting. And lo and behold, 5 months later, I'm pushing for her to share her story. But 5 months later, she met the love of her life. And now they're talking about getting engaged and stuff like that. But, this was the reason she felt that this guy was the love of her life, was not just because she, was attracted to him and all of that stuff, but because this person was finally starting to treat her like how she wanted to be treated. So that's the same with every aspect of our life. So the first thing we need to do is know what is it that we want. Second, we need to believe it and believe that it will come true. It will happen. You have to believe it. Okay? The third, now this is something that many people are familiar with, but I'll break it down for you, is visualization. Okay? What do I mean by this? Whatever we are human beings that are very influenced by our senses. Okay? So the things that we see, the things that we feel, the things that we hear, the things that we smell, they are, or did I miss any? See, smell, hear, feel, taste. Yes, taste. Okay. So these senses influence what is it that we like or we don't like. Yeah? So if there is something that you are looking to achieve, you have to engage these senses. Okay? And one of the best way to do it, and because we're primarily visual beings, we're primarily visual beings, we need to engage our visual senses, and the best way to do that is by creating visualization exercises. So what I would encourage you to do is two very specific things. One is create a vision board. Now, the vision board, for those of you who don't know, is basically images of things that you're looking or you're aspiring for, or that you wish to bring forth into your life. Okay, so that's the first one. And the second one is create a vision statement document. Now, I'll explain. I think I've explained enough as to how this works, but why this is important. But the way this works is, you take these images and you put it out there, put it onto, let's say, a board, let's say a nice little cardboard, and you put these images of the things, the holiday that you want to take, or the figure or the amount that you want to see into your account, or the kind of body that you're looking to have. Say, for example, the body that you had 10 years ago. That's what one of my clients did. And you put all of these images on this board. Now, what happens is, when you wake up every day and you look at this board and you look at these things and you visualize and you start saying to yourself, and I'm going to talk about incantations in a second, but when you start saying these things to yourself over and over, I see myself in Hawaii, lying on the beach, having the time of my life. I see myself there. What starts to happen is, you are literally bludgeoning your subconscious into thinking and recognizing that this is something that you truly want. Yeah? And when you do that, your subconscious has no choice but to follow through. And remember that your subconscious is this superpower. It is able to do incredible things, like, multitask 5 different things while you are driving, while your life is on, life is at the behest of this machine, and you're able to do all of these multitude of things. So your subconscious is able to do incredible things. So for your subconscious to be able to do that, you need to bludgeon it every single day, multiple times a day, with these images of the things that you want to see, and you need to believe it. Believe it, yes. Because why not? Why do you not deserve to be lying on a beach, in Hawaii, sipping on a pina colada? And if the answer to that question is I don't deserve it, aha, that's your problem. So, get clear about the visions that you wanna have for yourself. So that's the vision board, right? So get clear. The rules that I would put for this is, put images that really excite you, that you see and you're like, wow, this is for me. This is what I want to achieve. This is what I want to have. So when you see the vision board, it changes your state of mind. Yeah. The second thing I would say is, don't cover it with too many things. I know it's been I've seen some vision boards where there's 20 odd different things. Keep it simple for your mind. There can be multiple images of a similar goal that you want to have for yourself. So like an ideal body type, and an image of yourself from a time when you really loved yourself and loved the way you look. And then, certain foods that you enjoy and that that are healthy for you. So it could be multiple images of things, the same goal, but try not to keep too many goals, on the vision board. That's the rule. Now, the second thing I would say in terms of the visualization exercise is creating your vision statement. So this is basically a statement to say. So the way I do this with my clients, and those of you who've gone through the program know this, is I say, imagine that it is a year from now. So you've stepped into a parallel universe. It is already 2019, December, and you can see yourself extremely happy. In fact, you feel like this year has been the best year of your life. I want you to tell me, what are the things that you see that you have achieved? And write them down in present tense, because that is 2019. So it is December 2019, and I am with the love of my life, and I am sitting here at the side of the beach or on the beach side in Hawaii, sipping on a vegan pina colada, and pina colada is vegan, yeah, and I have been able to come here on a first class. We bought a first class ticket for my wife and myself because I have so much disposable income that I'm able to afford this. And I've also been able to bring my other best friends, afford to bring my best friends and my family members as well to celebrate my anniversary. I've just created my vision statement for 2019, friends. So stay tuned for 2019 when I actually film part 2 of this from Hawaii. There you go. Okay, anyway, so back to the vision statement. Write it down in present tense, okay? And then after you write that down and you get clear about what are the things that you've achieved, then write down 3 statements. The first one starts with I see. Second one starts with I hear. And the third one starts with I feel. And here I want you to get clear about what is it that you see in that moment. What is it that you hear in that moment? What is it that you feel in that moment? And these are statements that really get you excited and get you almost, it's palpable that you can feel, you can hear, you can see, your senses are engaged, and it really drives that message across that this is something that you truly see happening. Okay? You see, you feel, and you hear happening. So if you want a little bit more about that, I can share that with you, and I can share an example of a vision statement with you. Please let me know if that's something that you want happening. But that's the vision. That's creating the vision board and your vision statement. Excellent. Hi, Sukhveer. Hello. Hi. Hey, Mehul. Nice of you guys to tune in. Okay. Sorry. Sharon is saying, one affirmation given to me the other day was change the word lose to release. Example, I want to release this weight. Nice. I love that. I'm going to get into that in a second, Sharon, about the quality of the words that we use. Okay. So step 3, visualization. Now, step 4, inner dialogue. Oh, this is so important. Okay. So we need to recognize that when it comes to our subconscious, when it comes to our belief system, it's very dependent on the kind of dialogue that we have. One of the ways of catching, or one of the ways of recognizing what sort of a belief system we have, is listening to the thoughts that we have about that belief or about that thing. So, for example, if I were to think about money, and me earning £50,000, I earn £50,000 a month. If I say that statement, so it's like a tester. You know how the doctor tests your knee to see if you can react, if you're reacting to it. In that way, you can test your belief system by making a statement, and just keep being quiet and recognizing and listening to what are the thoughts that you're saying about that belief. So, I earn £50,000 every month. Now, there's a little voice inside of my head, and I'm going to be brutally honest because I know you guys would want me to be, but there's a thought in my head that says, bullshit, right? Because there's something inside of me that says that I am not deserving, either I'm not deserving or it's not possible because that's just not how the world works, or I'm not working hard enough, or whatever the case is. But there's multiple thoughts that come into my mind that then tells me that statement is a bullshit statement. And because it's bullshit, I'm not going to believe in it. Because I don't believe in it, that's why it's not going to happen. Okay? So listening to your inner dialogue is going to be such a crucial tool for you to be able to recognize what are these belief systems that you have, because if you recognize them, then you can change them. If you don't even know about it, how are you expected to change it, right? So how are some ways that you can recognize, how are some ways that you can change your inner dialogue? So number one is, as I said, catch yourself thinking. Yeah, so catch yourself thinking. The second thing to do is ask better questions. So this is similar to what you just shared with us, Sharon, which is changing the script that you have. So in the same way, by asking better questions, you are able to reframe the way you think about that situation. So for example, if you're asking yourself, why do I always find the wrong guy? Okay. And before you jump to conclusions, this is because this is what one of my female clients used to say. I have no problems finding the right guys in my life. Thank you. So, but if the question is, why is it that I always find the wrong guy? Reframe that question and ask a better question. So I'm going to leave that to you guys. And this is a little exercise for you right now. I know there's some really smart people here like Sukhveer. So you tell me what would be a better question to ask oneself instead of, why is it that I always find the wrong guys? Okay, I'll leave you with that and I'll let you type that out. But asking yourself better questions is a great way to do this. Now, the third step, once you now have started catching yourself thinking and you've started identifying the certain thoughts, and you've started asking yourself better questions, what's a better way to, how can I rephrase this? The third thing to do is my favorite thing, which I would say has been the game changer for me, which is incantations. So incantations are basically affirmations, but putting everything into it. So putting all of your other senses into it as well, including your body and your energy. Yeah? So the way incantations work is, if you start repeating certain beliefs that you want to have, certain thoughts about yourself that you want to put into your subconscious, you need to start framing it and getting clear about it, and then repeating it and repeating it and repeating it. Okay? So there are some rules about these incantations though, and I'll tell you them what they are right now. But I noticed that nobody's hey Nisha, you haven't put a response in terms of asking better questions. So I would say a better question to ask when somebody catches themselves thinking, why is it that I always find the wrong guy, is, how can I love myself and love the people around me better? See how we do the swap? See how we change? Because we've recognized that I need to love myself for anybody else to love me. So in that way, for me, instead of focusing on why do I always find the wrong guys, how can I love myself better? Because I know if I love myself better, and those are I'm going to attract the right people. So excellent. So now coming back to the incantations. So here are some rules when writing down your incantations. Please write these down. Write these down. These are critical. Number one, they need to be in present tense. So your statement shouldn't be in the future. It needs to be in present tense. I am. It usually is best if you start with I am, or I see, or I feel, or I hear. Second is, keep it positive. Don't write down and don't say things that you do not want in your life. So, I do not want to be fat. No. And don't write down I want to, which means that it's future. So, or I am not fat. Write down what is present. So, and keep it positive. So, no use of negatives. I know that's a double negative, but no use of negatives. Okay. The third one is use adjectives that add power into the statement. Okay. So, one that I've been using is I see tremendous abundance in my life. Yeah. So I added tremendous because it adds a level of excitement. It engages my subconscious. Tremendous. What does that mean? Tremendous. It forces me to bring out the inner child in me who is curious about knowing, what does this mean? Whatever I want to make of it. Okay? So, keep it in the present. Keep it positive. No use of negative words. Use adjectives that add power to it. Make these precise statements. So, all of them don't need to be precise. So, for example, I see tremendous abundance. That's not a very precise thing. But bring in a few precise statements into the mix. So, one of them is, I sign on a new client every day. I sign one new client into my program every day. That's a very precise statement. It is present. It's positive. Doesn't have any negatives in it. Okay. Now, sixth one. Use energy with voice and with body. So, the way I do this and the way I get my clients to do this is I want you to write down all of your incantations, your affirmation statements. Okay, so the incantation is when you use it. The affirmation is when it's there as a statement. So write them down, and I want you to do this, and please promise me that you will do it. Record them in audio form. You can use your phone, and most phones have audio recorders, but record them of you saying them and give it a bit of a gap so that you can repeat it when you're listening to it later on. Okay? So you have your statement. So for example, here's mine. I'm just going to say it. Money expands my ability to serve others. Second, I am so grateful for the many ways that money flows to me. Yeah. Okay. So do that with all of your affirmations, and then what you can do is use that audio as a way for you to repeat those affirmations to yourself, but as incantations every day. So you wake up in the morning, put the audio on, listen to your affirmations, and in the gap you say it, but you say it with your body. Yeah? And you say it with energy and with exuberance, and you believe it. And as I said, you bludgeon that bloody subconscious into believing it as well, because it will. It's insane. When you keep saying it and saying it and saying it, all of a sudden it starts initially it'll be like, that's crazy, man. Why are you even saying these things? This is these thousands of little voices in your subconscious that'll keep reminding you that, you're going a bit cuckoo, dude. Why are you doing these crazy things? But then, after a few days and a few weeks, all of a sudden, not only will you start saying, this isn't crazy, this is fine, this is normal. In fact, this is exciting. Not only will that happen, but you will start seeing changes happen in your life. Okay? So, coming back to the points, so using energy and body, use your own voice, as I said, and repetition. Repetition is the key, my friends. So, saying this at least 3 times a day. Morning, afternoon, night. Yep. Saying it, repeating it. Because and by the way, if you think that that's too much, what's the price of getting the life that you feel that you deserve, or that you've desired, or that you want? Do you really think that saying a bunch of statements to start believing in something that you want to start believing in 3 times a day, you think that that's too much? Because I did get that the other day from someone, and I asked them, Well, if it's too much, that means you're not deserving of it. Okay, Mehul's got a question. Hey Trevor, how do we deal with all things that infect our beliefs and visualization with doubt? Hey Marie. So, okay, good question, Mehul. And what you're talking about is what I like to call our circles of concern. This is, so imagine this. Okay, so this is your circle of concern. Okay, so these are all of the things in your life that concern you. Okay, including these various things that impact your belief system. Yeah, from the outside. Within your circle of concern falls another concentric circle, which is your circle of influence. These are the things that concern you, but you can actually do something about. So circle of concern, circle of influence. These are the things you can influence. The people who are successful in their life, the people who have control over their life, are the people who focus on this inner circle. The people who have no control over their life, the people who live by default, the people who live a life of silent resignation that, this is how life is, and who tend to be dejected, are the people who focus on the things that concern them but they can't influence. And there are reasons why people behave like this as well. It's easier to focus on the things that concern you that you can't influence because you can always use that as an excuse. I wanted to exercise, but it's raining outside. I live in a place that is very cold, and because of that, I can't go for runs. Yeah, it's an easy excuse. And I know this for a fact because I use these excuses in various aspects of my life. But the moment I realized that, wait a second, I want to live a life in which I am in freaking control. I'm in control of my life. And for me to be in control, I need to be in control of the decisions that I make. So if it's too cold outside and if it's raining, there are freaking 5,000 exercise videos at home. I do one of those exercise videos at home. And trust me, I work up more of a sweat doing that sometimes than when I go for a polite jog. Okay? So focusing on what it is that you can influence, Mehul, is one excellent way of switching that. Another excellent way of dealing with these things that, as you said, infect your belief system is walking away from something that doesn't serve you. So for example, if you have friends who don't have the same belief system as you have the courage and have the self-respect because you deserve it. So have the self-respect to say, I'm going to walk away from this relationship because it's pulling me into a direction that I don't want to go in. It's taking me away from a direction that I want to go towards. I'll give you an example. I have relatives and people that are very dear to me. I'm not going to take any names, but people who push buttons within me that bring out the worst in me. Okay? They do it intentionally or unintentionally, that is irrelevant, but the point is it brings out the worst in me. And these are people who've known me from childhood, and there's a lot of history in that relationship. So with great difficulty, I've had to distance myself from these people. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't love them. That doesn't mean that I wouldn't be there for them at the drop of a hat. However, I know now at what point to draw the line with them. Yeah? And I also decided that in some cases when I was physically with them, I had to get myself into a position where I'm no longer I'm no longer sharing a house or spending a lot of time with these people because they've got negative energy. They've got an energy that's taking me away from my goals. I need to cut that. So I hope that answered the question, Mehul. Please let me know with a thumbs up or a comment. But also another thing, Mehul, is this. Consistency is the key here. Just like with building muscle, You need to consistently go into a gym for months to start seeing results. In the same way, with these things and reprogramming your mind and your subconscious, we need to consistently do this for weeks, and you will start seeing a few changes, which is very encouraging. But you need to be at it, because think about it this: I'm going to turn 40 next year. That means that I have spent, let's say my belief system was put in when I was 5. That means I've spent 35 years of my life believing a certain thing that isn't serving me. 35 years of constantly repeating to myself, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. You don't deserve that money, you don't deserve that money, you don't deserve it. Every time a number would come up, like I just said, £50,000, oh, bullshit, why? You don't deserve it. So if I've been repeating something so incessantly to myself for such a long time, you would think that you would need to do something for at least 1 month consistently and dedicatedly for you to actually create some change. But that's the power of the human mind, guys. If you, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it, you do something consistently enough, you will change. That's why people transform their bodies even at 50. Follow Rich Roll. You'll see what I mean. Okay, so now, where was I? Okay, so coming back to the points, incantations. So here's how you do it. Write down something, an affirmation that you want to see for yourself in present tense. Keep it positive. Don't use any negative words, so don't and stuff like that. Use an adjective that adds power to it. Mix in some precise statements, so precise things that you want to achieve that are part of your vision board. Use energy and voice in your voice and in your body when you're repeating it to yourself. And you need to repeat it multiple times in a day. Okay? So that is your exercise, my friends. I really want you guys to do that. Okay, apart from the catching yourself thinking and asking yourself better questions. Finally, Mehul's saying, so fight the negative thoughts with positivity. That's a really simple way of putting it. Yeah, absolutely. Just you catch, first of all, as I said, these are the points. First of all, become aware. Yeah, become aware that this is an aspect of your life that you want to change. Okay, then become aware of your thoughts. Yeah, so once you start becoming aware of the inner dialogue, okay, this is something that I'm thinking. Do I want to continue believing in this? No. Okay, so how do I rephrase this? Rephrase it into your affirmation, write that down, and then repeat that. Okay? So that is one way that you can literally just change it into your life. I'm going to read some health affirmations that one of my clients used, and this is amazing because his health started to change. Okay, I love myself and I am perfectly healthy. Every cell in my body is health conscious and I am a health freak. Every day, in every way, I am getting healthier and healthier and feeling better and better. I avoid junk food. I eat healthy, nutritious food that benefits my body, and I drink a lot of water that cleanses my body. Every day is a new day filled with hope, happiness, and health. Good health is my birthright. I bless my body daily and I take good care of it. Are you seeing how these incantations work? These are statements that one of my clients who had an angioplasty done because he had a blockage in one of his arteries, is now set to run a marathon in 2019. Can you believe that? That is insane. And he's been able to do that. Of course he's started eating healthy, but he's had to change the way he sees himself. He didn't think he was deserving of that. of any of these things, which is why he would poison himself with all of this, with booze and with bad food. So, coming back to the points, recognize knowing where you want to go, which is number 1. 2, believing it will come true. 3, visualization, so creating vision board and a vision statement. Addressing your inner dialogue, which involves catching yourself thinking and asking better questions and using incantations. And I give you the 7 points for the incantations. Finally, 2 important points, which are be patient with yourself. As I said, this is something that's taken years of wiring and rewiring. It's going to take a little bit of time to unprogram it. So rather than getting frustrated with yourself, act as your own guide or as your own support system. One of the things that I noticed with myself was it was very easy for me to just want to fall back into the old way of thinking. Very easy. And I think many of us would be familiar with this, that you try changing your habits and it's very easy to get sucked into your old habit, and it's very easy to justify it and create justification because your brain is incredible at that, right? So if you want to create a habit of waking up early in the morning, your brain comes up with the most innovative ways for you to sleep in. And I think many of you would be familiar with that feeling. So, one thing that you need to do is break your state. Tony Robbins talks about this. There needs to be a circuit breaker. Something needs to break that chain of events that leads you from that feeling to the thought to the action, or the thought to the feeling to the action. Yeah? So you need to break it. Do whatever it takes. In my case, I talk to myself. I start speaking out loud. And it's meant looking like a crazy person in public in a couple of times, but so be it. So be it. But speaking to yourself and saying, whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is not what you want. This is not what you want. Okay? Or in some cases, I've had clients and I've known people who just start, doing things physically. So they literally just break it, they jump. Or start singing. I had one mentor who would sing to himself, no, this is not what you want. Or he'd get a tune, oh baby, this is not what you want. And literally, I swear, because what would happen is it would change the state that he's in, where I want to go to sleep, or I want to eat this chocolate, or I want to say this wrong thing to this person, to doing something that he wants to do, and he broke it with a circuit breaker. So jump, push-ups, run, laugh, scream, dance, do whatever it takes, but break that state as soon as you experience it. And the other thing I would say about being patient with yourself is think of yourself as somebody in a white coat with spectacles and with a notepad who's come here to just observe, right? So you're not judging yourself, you're just observing. So you decide that you want to do certain thing, you've got to exercise every day. Okay, great. The switch. Awesome, Sharon. So you decide you want to you want to inculcate certain habits. Okay. And the first day you go out for a run, and that's excellent and great. And the next day you don't. And rather than beating yourself about it, thanks, Shaz. Yes, I think I think maybe we need to form a group and go on the X Factor as a group as opposed to solo. Okay, so I need to go out for a run. I don't do it the second day. Okay, why did I not do it? Rather than, oh my God, you're such a loser. Oh, you're such an idiot. I told you this was so important, but you didn't do it. Instead of that, be kind, be gentle, and be patient with yourself. Be that observer, that person in the lab coat, and saying, that's interesting. Why did you not go? What was the thought that you had that stopped you from doing what you knew you had to do? And if you do that, you will slowly find that you're slowly going to start becoming more understanding of the way you think. The more you understand the way you think, the more you can change it. So that's number 5. And point number 6, probably the one that underlines or that encompasses all of this, is having an attitude of gratitude. Yeah. If we are grateful for what we already have in our life, we're creating a positive vibration. And Mehul, actually, this addresses your point as well. If you focus on some of the things that you already have in your life that you are so grateful for, your energy is already in a positive state. And then you're just directing that into the things that you want in your life. Rather than focusing on what are the things that you don't have in your life, and then trying to focus on what are the things that you don't want in your life. Yeah? You see how that doesn't work? So, focusing on some of the things, and again, this is something that I encourage people to do, is having a journal and just writing down every night, what are some of the things that you're grateful for in today? Or every morning, what are some of the things that you're going to be grateful for today? So, that pretty much, I know I've gone beyond an hour, guys, but that is it. So those are my 6 points on how I believe you can implement the law of attraction into your life. I do believe this video has been of value. Shaz is asking a question. How do we get rid of a negative family member but still be a good daughter? Very good question, Shaz. And I don't know if I've shared this with you, but I have a very similar relationship with my parent. And I think, again, watch the words that you've just used right now. You've said, how do we get rid of a negative family member? Is that a positive way of dealing with this situation? It's not getting rid. You don't get rid of something I mean, you can't say I want to get rid of and have a positive vibration within you. So reframe that sentence and let me ask you that question, Shaz, right now. How would you reframe that sentence and make it a positive sentence? So you're welcome, Sharon. I'm glad that you got value from it, and you feel that there's a lot to work from it. But Shaz, I would reframe that sentence as how can I have a better relationship with this family member? Yeah? And that better relationship could be not having to deal with that family member anymore, or having a very difficult conversation with that family member. But what I've noticed is this. We have trained the people around us to treat us the way they treat us. Listen to that carefully. We train the people around us to treat us the way they treat us. And the way we train them is by the way we think and feel about ourselves. So, if I am somebody who loves myself unconditionally, and somebody who respects myself no matter what, and I behave in a way where I constantly generate more and more respect and love for myself, then how would anybody disrespect me or hate me or not show me love? And if they do, why would I hang around with them? Ask yourself that question. And we can talk about that a little bit more, Shaz. But reframe the way we think about these things. Recognize that it all starts from within, and it all starts from your own space of self-love and self-respect. And once you start working on that, people, and knowing that you deserve it, knowing and believing that these things will work, they will change. Oh my goodness, it is incredible what we achieve. Okay? All right. Much love to all of you. And remember, if you can conceive it and you can believe it, then you can definitely achieve it with the right tools, of course. Ciao for now.